fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go!
Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Well, what a delight to be back with the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series ready for Season 8. Strength to strength of one of the Australian sim racing community's best GT3 leagues. And one of the things that absolutely has set it apart is the league organisers' dedication to driving standards and dedication to making sure they nail that balance of performance as well. It's a little unique in that regard, and what it's led to is some amazing and close racing across the championships, across the season so far. Back better than ever. What a great place to kick it off here at Road Atlanta. Pleasure to have your company on SimSpeed TV. David Haynes here, joined by Jay Kennedy, who's also on the cameras. Jay, I mean, they struggle to find enough places to put all the drivers that want to sign up for this, don't they? We've got, once again, the Pro Division, the AM Division, and Pass 2. Really, really deep field.
It? No, I didn't. There we go. It's working now. Yeah, absolutely stacked field. You've got this issue too where Windows resets all your microphone settings. It's been stacked since Season 1. This is Season 8. And all new qualifying format, all new rules around what class drivers are in. Should make the field even more competitive. We should see lots of different drivers battling for championships. Changes to the balance of performance, which we'll talk about later on. And a whole new list of drivers to try and understand, work out, and talk through when we get into Pass 2 in just a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Always lots and lots of racing. And it's all going to start here at Road Atlanta with Pass 2. This is the circuit. If you weren't, watching sports car racing on your TV this weekend just gone, what a great track. Very fast uphill through that turn 1. Complicated S's section. Long back straight. A lot of overtaking can happen then into that chicane that then brings you back up over the hill, under the bridge, and back around again. It's a relatively quick little lap around here at just over 4 kilometers or so, and a lot of it at very high and challenging speed with plenty of Georgia elevation.
Let's try that again. It's an absolute staple on the iRacing surface. It's so iconic. It is absolutely brilliant. One of my favorites when I was racing. This should be a load of fun in these cars. GT3 racing at Road Atlanta is an iconic combination in US sports car racing as it is. So IMSA, Road Atlanta, Petite Le Mans on the weekend just gone. iRacing Petite Le Mans coming up this weekend. It's going to be a fantastic night of racing, a really good preview for what we might expect when we get into Petite Le Mans on the weekend.
Yeah, we love it. Lots of different brands, shapes and sounds battling each other for victories at Road Atlanta is what we can expect. What a great circuit. They are qualifying at the moment for Pass 2, but we still need to set the scene on the championship. And this is how Pass 2 is going to work out. A 25-minute race coming up. 30% fuel tank maximum is going to see them need to stop to get through it, and a fixed setup. This is just one of several rounds for Season 8. This is your schedule here at Road Atlanta today. In 2 weeks' time, though, we'll be at Phillip Island and then on to the Daytona Road Course for a wildcard round. That's been one of the long-standing traditions of this championship as well, to just every now and again shake it up and try some different combinations or circuits. We had it last season with the Monza combined oval and road course with the
that was something.
Dallara Indy cars and the Pro Mazdas, so a big speed delta there. A very, very unique style of racing that was. So that definitely keeps drivers on their toes and lets us see some different things. But then it goes on to the Indianapolis road course. Happen to like that place, if I'm honest.
I mean, you're probably a little bit more able to say how good it is over me or anyone else, but that should be fun in the Cadillac or the MX-5 at Daytona, and then Fuji, we will run the classic IMSA cars. Now, it's going to be a really cool combo. I don't think I would have ever expected to see those cars at that track, but the classic IMSA cars at Fuji, that will be a fun combo.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, for any Australian league or championship, you've got to hit some of the iconic Australian circuits. So great to have Phillip Island in there. Always good racing there in a lot of different cars. Bathurst, of course, you love it. And Sandown, relatively recent addition, but again, I think really is going to suit this style of cars and the GT3s. So, Hall of Champions for Pass 2. Now, of course, it wasn't part of the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series at the very beginning, but from Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, so many drivers that they couldn't fit into the Pro-Am division. Had to make an extra division to fit everyone who wanted to race, and Sebastian Vandal, Matt Andrews, and Matt Bowler are your champions across those seasons. So, very, very well rewarded for their season-long efforts. This is qualifying underway for Pass 2, which will of course set the grid for their one race of tonight. After Pass 2 comes the big boys with their races as well.
And this is our current pole sitter, the number 41 of, I'm going to butcher his surname here.
What, Obersteller?
Obersteller. I'm not coping very well with reading things tonight. The dyslexia is coming out. He's got a decent margin though in that BMW. We've got a decent mix this season. We saw that a few different manufacturers were a lot more popular than others last season in both Pass 2 and in Pro-Am, with a lot of BMWs and a lot of Mercedes. A lot more love for the Porsche this season. So we're going to see a bit more of an interesting mix. Expect to see some Audis in the mix this season as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And it's a great part of the way the balance of performance works in this category, especially at the top division, that if one car becomes too dominant, it naturally starts to get pegged back a little bit. Here is Aaron Obersteller in his Mercedes. He has 2/10 or so on Stuart Brown, but then it is super, super close behind that. Between 3 and 4/10, you've got 6 drivers or so there. The track is at 22 Celsius and might just start to drop a little bit. Keep an eye on that. Certainly, drivers still finding a little bit of time and still finding a slipstream in places down that back straight as well, where they reach such massive speed, not just because it's a long back straight, but then right as they think they might be hitting VMAX, the track starts to drop away downhill, and of course that lets them pick up just a little more.
See, going past, this is Rodney Hobbs, who looked really strong in that first sector. Got their sole Audi in the Pass 2 competition for tonight. That is Jack Anderson in the Elko Holder Audi. Set his first flying lap. A little bit off the pace, but this one looks like it should be a bit of an improvement. But there's a fair bit of green on the timing sheet at the moment, so we're going to see a few drivers jumping up that timing sheet. One of them will be Jason Muscat here in the 46. He's going to move up a fair way, I feel.
How far? Up to 6th with that lap time. And yeah, just a 10-minute qualifying session. It's a quick lap around here, so they get around for a couple. The reality is it's not an hour qualifying session, so take just a little bit to reach your best. Track conditions staying relatively stationary at the moment. Booth through the final sector in one of those Porsches you talk about, and what a famous set of colours that is for a Porsche as well.
Number on the side, but he's running the wrong number. Originally was supposed to be a 98, but running 991. But that lap didn't count, but if it did, it may have shot him up the timing sheet there. So he'll be looking to finish it off here on his final run as Nick Buxton jumps into P number 11.
Poor Jake Buxton off the road a little bit further on.
He was.
Yeah, there he was. Correct. Scaring our camera operator potentially. Jamie Blackman through the final sector. 330. 19th crosses the line, goes to 17th. Just a little bit of an improvement there. Checkered flag's out right now, so everyone is going to get to finish their laps in this qualifying. You're on one right now. Try to finish it. If not, you might be done. Practice that pit entry. That is always, for that reason, practice your pit entry, but always a good thing when you're heading into a race that you know is going to have a pit stop in it. Just make sure you know your reference points on the pit entry, not just on the racetrack.
Such an easy place to gain and lose time as Ian Jordan jumps up into position number 10 in the 7. Good gain of positions for him on that final run. For Nikolaev, driver that's been around on iRacing for a lot longer than me. To see him back into some competitive league racing.
Do you have his customer ID on hand? Is it 3 digits?
It's a 5-digit number that starts with a 2. So he has been around for a while. Who have we got left on the track? Not many left out there. Sam Batty might be the only one.
I've been on since 2014 and I'm 157,000. And they've moved on a lot since then as well. Though Optus already knew that. Jamie Blackman is going to be one of those last drivers who gets to finish a lap. He went from 19th to 17th on the last lap. That one
no improvement.
Does not look like it improved. He missed out by just a 10th there as well. So that's everyone done for qualifying. That's going to lock them in. Good looking field of 30. 28 of them have a qualifying time as well. And there will be more on track when we get to the top tier division later on in the evening as well. Here's how they'll line up for Pass 2's 1:25-minute race. And it's Aaron Obersteller on pole, sharing that front row with Stuart Brown. Then you've got Jake Jackson and John Gagliardi for row number 2. David Baz and Jason Muscat. Patrick Panton and Ben Pollock, some names returning there for sure. So this series and this season. Hayden Schultz and Ian Jordan. That is our top 10. And you got Zach Christie and Nick Buxton. That's the top 12. Next row is Simon Dwyer and Nick Bottrell. Hilton Booth, we saw a bit of in that qualifying session, shares his row with Jake Janovich. Jamie Blackman we saw, and John Nikolaev we saw. Well, they're going to share a row together back there. Adam Hillmotion and Hamish Munro, Matt Hardigan, Jack Anderson, Tom Brown, Toby Wilson, Sam Batty, Sean Newens, Ken O'Hara and Rodney Hobbs, I think, were the drivers with qualifying times. No qualifying time for Jake Buxton or Dean O'Brien.
Dean O'Brien's in the wrong session. That's why you see his name in blue. He's a AM driver, so AM drivers will come up in blue when we get into Pro-Am, and Pro drivers will come up in green. Make it a bit easier for us, maybe. I say maybe. Probably will make it harder. We'll probably get them all confused. Well, I will.
Don't think positive up until that point. So we've got a truncated formation lap here. You can see the field are ready to roll just before turns 10A and 10B. So it will be a pretty quick little formation lap up the hill under the Fox Factory Bridge. And then rules from this league that will be enforced is your pole sitter can't back the field up too far. They've got to hold their speed until the green flag drops. Should give us a pretty fair 2-wide start. And then it's the run down the pit straight into the fast turn 1, where everyone's going to have to cross their fingers and hope to make it through cleanly there.
Does narrow up a fair bit too, coming out of turn 1, 2, and into that the S's section through 3 and 4. So
big pinch point at turn 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it can catch a lot of drivers out too. So hopefully we don't see too many issues and too many incidents at that point. There is every chance we will. Fingers crossed it's all relatively clean, under control before we get to that point.
It's Porsches, Ferraris, Audis, BMWs and Mercedes. It's a new season, Season 8 of the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, and Pass 2 is here to kick it off with their race as we head into the evening. The pace car is in and your pole sitter, Aaron Obersteller, is going to lead him away. Green flag comes out and he's caught napping just a little bit. The driver on the outside of the front row getting a great launch. Stuart Brown has his nose in front and it's quite the stack up on the inside line. Good launch from the front row around the outside for Stuart Brown. Behind, everyone needs to mind their manners, mind their spotter as they reach the turn 3 crest, curb, and pinch point up front. All good so far through to the famous S's.
It looks like we're going to get through relatively okay. A little bit of side-by-side still going on at the back of the pack, but everyone's got into single file very, very nicely. Very, very impressed. Well done. We see half as clean in that when we get into Pro-Am. We're going to have a very good start.
Yeah, tidy so far, but there's still a lot of racing to go in this 25 minutes with a pit stop and with a pretty good-looking field at the far end of the track. A little bit of side-by-side. Jiggery-pokery, as they like to say, and that looks like Pollock around in the BMW. Drivers trying to avoid it. A little bit of smoke, a little bit more door banging. No massive incidents here, but definitely split the field up a tiny bit. Your top 7 super close, and I think it's on for the lead, is it?
Just behind the leaders, this is, yeah. So this is for position number 8, Zach Christie, Aiden Schultz, Ian Jordan. Then we saw Nick Bottrell and Nick Buxton side by side down the back straight as well, but through it, lap 1, clean except for that incident for Ben Pollock. Pretty good job.
Yeah, so far in a good opening lap there for Zach Christie. You saw making that move from 11th on the grid now up into 8th. So picking up a couple of spots early, side by side through turn 1. Oh, you've got to be careful. You've got to give space. And they navigate that one cleanly. Ian Jordan's BMW there, finding the curbs.
Change of position that we just missed off camera there, but Jason Muscat, John Gagliardi, if I could get that out, just getting past Patrick Panton through the S's, so been a bit of a change of position there.
Let's go have a look. Gagliardi started on the second row.
Well, Muscat actually got through, so...
Yeah, I think he might have just caught a little bit of the grass on the outside of turn 1 or something. Easy to do because a couple of drivers have actually gotten around him.
Too much curb.
Yeah, too much curb at turn 1. Wiggles it a little bit. It's on the wrong side here at turn 3, and then you can hardly see that corner until you're already on it. And then once you're offline, you've got to be cautious. So that cost him a little bit of that momentum. And of course, 29 cars out on track, he'll get gobbled up pretty quickly. So that's what happened to him. It is on for the lead now, though. I've predicted the future rather than just looking at the wrong place at the wrong time earlier. Stuart Brown is still holding on to that lead, though, that he took off the race start, but Obersteller, the pole man, was immediately back to second. Now trying to wrestle that lead away, potentially, right back into it. Ferrari versus Mercedes, then with Porsche behind him.
Or is that a slowdown for Stuart Brown? Because he's just given up a whole heap of time there and just gives up the lead.
Very possible to get it wrong across the curbs on the exit of turn 5 as well, though. Sometimes your quickest line is to leap across them, but these, the GT cars, not open wheelers, but they do have a little bit of a sensitivity to the curbs. So Obersteller gets the lead back. Look at the Ferrari, the prancing horsepower right into the slipstream, down the back straight. Track curves around to the right. The inside line is at the left. Obersteller doesn't feel the need to defend it at this point. And side by side they go. Oh, it's tough. Obersteller, he's going to hold on because Brown, a little bit of contact around in a really, really awkward spot. The whole field coming, and he knows he can't just drive straight back into it. So he has to find reverse gear, and he has to do it again. That is a tough, tough break for Brown. He's down the inside, went in relatively deep, but left a car space, and that then had him pinched at the next apex. We'll have a look at it again from onboard. Great run. Gets offered the inside, looks to take it. They both have to brake pretty deep in here, and just a little bit of contact.
The smallest bit of contact as well. This might give us a bit of a view of how good a job everyone did to avoid him too, because tough spot to avoid a car, especially when you're in a tight pack of cars, because that's where the natural line is out there. So have a look at how many positions he's losing here. Good job from Brown to back out of the way. 14 or 15 spots he's lost. Yeah.
So he's gone from
28th
the lead to 28th, unfortunately, out of all of that.
Actually,
but Jack Jackson's leading. Obersteller back in a second. Oh, more contact, same place, and this time it's David Baz. Does he keep it facing forward? Somehow he just does. Wow, that is the action zone. No wonder there's so much seating built around turn 10A and turn B, and at the final corner. Flat out in most conditions. Gnarly little moment there. Patrick Panson and Zach Christie. So it is all on in pass 2. This is a bit of a BMW battle here.
These guys are showing that they want out of pass 2. They want to get themselves up into the Pro-Am. So putting on a good show, putting on some good battles. Interesting fights going on in this group. But yeah, I might have to go back and see if we can work out exactly what happened to Obersteller, because Jackson's checked out to a 2-second lead already.
Yep, Jake Jackson is gone. And he is out of here. So this group there, that's 5th, 6th, and 7th in those BMWs. Highest place of the BMWs. So Jake Jackson.
He's already taken the lead.
Yeah, he's already in the lead by that.
So, yeah. This happened while we were watching the replay. Turn 1.
Yeah, Porsche's to the front.
Yeah. It's a better run out of the final corner. Which, of course, the car of Obersteller, he was a little compromised because he probably was looking in his mirror and was worrying about what was going on behind him too. So, high possibility of that. Good move to get that done. Now, has a 2-second margin over everyone else.
Yeah, there's some damage on the door there for Obersteller, but I don't see too much anywhere else. And this is a drama for Matt Hardigan. That's the exit of turn 1, right where the pit exit is. He's got it going. They're barreling up on him though.
Not fun to be at the exit of turn 1 slow when everyone is, even the guys coming out of the pits can be coming out a lot quicker than when you're stopped there. So pretty dangerous and very, very fast section of track through turn 2 and then the braking zone of 3. When you're offline there too, it is very, very difficult to get yourself back on the track and onto the racing line. So good job to get it going again. It's going worse for Stuart Brown though. Whoa.
Oh.
That was not what I was expecting.
Okay. Driver was leading, then at the back of the field. Now what? Trying to work his way back through the field some in his Ferrari. Wide. Is it going to be these curbs at 5 here? Yep. A lot of the apex curb wide. The exit curb really, really gets him. And then...
Oh,
no. You knew it was going to happen. He was so careful rejoining last time as well. The frustration when you're battling from the lead and then have to kind of wait for almost the whole field to go through. He was so good that previous time.
Was it Ken O'Hara, the car, or was it... Oh, it was Jake Buxton, essentially?
I think it would have been Jake Buxton.
He's got another issue as well, so... yeah. Wow. That was definitely something. We won't be far away from seeing guys in the pits as well for their fuel stop. I'm also seeing Tom Brown's received a black flag for exceeding track limits at some point. Oh, actually, that may be for unsafe pit exit or speeding on pit exit.
Okay. My quick calculator math suggests that the starting fuel would get them 18 minutes into this race.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess not too far away on that one. Very, very few drivers have pitted. None of them for what I would consider a scheduled stop, all of them because of damage or whatnot. You're down to 25th place before anyone who's been through the pits, and I think Tom Brown is retiring that one. So, no one trying to undercut in any way except John Nikolaev. First car into the pit lane. It looks like fuel is their only goal.
Running the old school undercut mentality.
Or maybe just that I'm in a little bit of traffic mentality.
Yeah, get out of all of the mess that's starting to unfold. We were talking up how clean this race had been at the start, but it did turn a little bit messy there, but it's come back to us. Jake Jackson, though, has pulled a 3-odd second margin now over Obersteller and Muscat. Muscat's been in very good form as well as David Baz. Those guys have moved forward a bit, but biggest mover in the field in the top 10 anyway, Zach Christie is up up from 11th to 6th. He's done a good job.
Fifth.
Yeah, 5th. I apologise. Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving up and bringing some BMWs with him, potentially here as well. Last lap, though, wasn't able to match what the top four were doing. Hardigan out of the lane, one of the other drivers who stopped there. So Nikolaev, about 13 seconds of fuel. Hardigan, about 13 seconds of fuel. Your leader comes in, and he's probably going to get followed by a lot of others. In fact, it's almost a question of who isn't coming into the lane. Going on, John Gagliardi, very, very interesting. Your leaders and the rest all pile on in to top off the tanks and get them the remaining. It says 11 laps. It's probably going to be a little less than that, maybe, but it'll be a couple, no doubt. With Anderson. Is that one of the very, very few Audis?
That is our only Audi in this race, but I can confirm that we will have a lot more Audi prevalence in the Pro-Am when we get to that point. David Baz has been the winner in the pit stops. He has jumped Obersteller and Muscat. Gone from 4th to 2nd in the pits.
Great work from him. Very, very fast pit lane here as well. 72 k's an hour, and it's not that long either. So deltas aren't massive. What has happened? John Gagliardi, yep, needed that lap because that is Coffin and a spluttering, and he's a long way from being able to get over that hill in the final sector as well. John Gagliardi has missed the memo on when to stop. It was not a strategy call, it was a mistake.
Yep. And we have seen this before.
Stopped going through.
We have seen this in Pass 2 before, haven't we? Where drivers new to the series or haven't raced in Pass 2 before, or even in Pro or Pro-Am that joined for the first time, don't realise that there's a pit stop needed for fuel, a fuel limited race, and find themselves running short. Hey, well, this pack's got heated after the pit stops, hasn't it? This is for P number 5. Oh, no!
Oh, Panton, Christie, Ian Jordan there as well we were just looking at. That's big damage for almost all three of them. You're saying getting heated. It is boiled over. Big BMW damage underneath the bridge. Heading towards the final corner. Christie was one of the big movers here. This is Jordan looking to get around him. Okay, looks one way. Oh, that's almost smells of a block from Christie there. They come up on some cars here.
That other car there, was that? I don't even know who the other car there involved was.
Buxton, Jake Buxton there.
That's
messy
horrible.
all around.
Zach Christie's continued on, surprisingly. Has got away with that okay, but Gagliardi is in the pits, Jordan's in the pits, Buxton is in the pits. John Nikolaev's also slow at the moment.
So one of the earlier stop callers was definitely in range to be able to fill it and get to the end as well. So I don't know what was...
maybe he just had a moment there. Not sure. Definitely was off the pace, as here comes Nick Buxton up the inside of Simon Dwyer. Buxton in that S&D... what do they call themselves? S&D Racing, they've called themselves. Gets himself up into P7. He's up 5 spots. Sam Batty for Drop Bear Motorsport, the biggest mover, up 11 positions.
It's a great battle here. 7th, 8th, 9th, etc. Further back, it's going to be a close moment. What on earth between the drivers you were just talking about, Batty and Wilson, both on their lids? No, the Porsche ends up on its wheels, but that is a turtle of a BMW. I
don't even understand how that happened.
Not confident what line the Porsche thought it was taken. So you're shaping up. You're down the inside at 1. Okay.
I think it's going to be one of those incidents, whichever way you look, whatever car you look on board with, it's going to look like it's the other car's fault. So another one I'm glad I'm not in race control for.
Yeah. So with 10 minutes and underneath 10 minutes left, Jake Jackson's still working on that good lead. Muscat and Overstella that we look at here. It was a very good start to the race for Aaron Overstella. Gets a good run through turn 5. It seems just like such a tricky corner. I remember we watched one of the other Ferraris get a bit of a dog's breakfast to that one. So you go out wide on that curb and gosh, these cars do not like it. Overstella's using it to go over, under, try to take a dig here for the podium.
Classic rotor lantern move there through that section side by side. Down the back straight. Not quite enough to get it done. And I'm a little surprised that Overstella wasn't able to get that move finished. But Muscat's doing a good job of defending this spot.
Yeah, sure is. So on the brakes here for 10A and B, not quite clear. They do got to go side by side, give each other a bit of space and respect. I think Overstella's just covered that one off for a podium position. But their next driver position is now a chunk ahead of them in Baz, and then a chunk of time to Jake Jackson as well. Behind them, though,
Still
Porsche
going on.
excitement. There's Buxton leading Dwyer, leading Bottrell in an Audi.
I take back what I said earlier about Audis. We've got 2 of them. I missed the second Audi in my list. Good to see the Audis back.
Yep, happy V10 noises. The onboard here, looking at this turn 5. It's a challenge for some. I think that's one of the corners here that sort of you've got to have a lot of confidence in how you think the car is going to react to clip that apex curb and then carry the speed out across the exit curb as well. And a lot of confidence. Here's Nick Bottrell as he gets Simon Dwyer, about where we saw Overstella get Muscat as well. And you could see he's just willing to brake quite a bit deeper in a few places, willing to carry a little bit more speed. Expect him to maybe try to get around Nick Buxton in a second here as well. Buxton's following middle of the road in a defensive line. So Bottrell's going to look around the outside of 10. It's not going to work. Oh, and he loops it. Both of them catch a bit of dirt, but it's the Audi that loops around, stuck at the apex. Oh.
Went in just a bit too hot, didn't he? Just too hot.
Went out a little bit too hot there as well.
Yep. That'd be a bit of anger going on there. So unfortunate end to Bottrell there as he made that really nice move through the other end of the circuit. Through 6 and 7. So be very, very disappointed. Battles at the front have all petered out, but still going on between Buxton and Dwyer without Bottrell in the mix. But that's brought the rest of that group up because they all had to check up to avoid him.
Oh yeah, it's mental here, all for position. Buxton, Dwyer, you're looking at Blackman trying to make a move there. John Nikolaev just behind in his Mercedes there as well. And Hamish Monroe sneaking into this too. Oh, Nikolaev noticed the tail with one of the Porsches there. Check up at that corner that then feeds them onto the back straight. How's the horses for the Mercedes?
You'd expect the draft to be pretty strong, and with the power that the Mercedes should have, see them close up, but still a pretty even mix, balance and performance-wise.
Yeah, it's certainly working at the moment. Nikolaev couldn't get around Porsche in front of him. So he's just at the front, sneaking away a tiny bit from him. You can now see a couple more car lengths to get to Simon Dwyer and Jamie Blackman. Someone mowing outside of turn 1. There's that turn 5 again, just a little wide from the BMW. Catches that exit curb, and then there's the short track rejoins there, gives you a bit of pavement on the far side of the curb. It's fair game so long as your car can handle the curb. Just, open up the hands a little bit, cut and jump across the curb.
The hard part of that corner is it's so inviting. It just drags you in and suckers you in to keep pushing further and further, and then all of a sudden you realise you've gone too far and you end up in the wall. So it's a very, very difficult section to get right because it does give you a lot of room that you can play with, but it suckers you in to keep trying to push. I thought for a second there Hamish Munro was going to have the mother of all dives, but he backed out of it at the last second. And he was shaping up for a huge lunge there on John Nikolaev and then decided against it last minute, probably for the best.
Yeah, this is the battle to watch. Well, we're looking backwards from Hilton Booth there. You couldn't make out a whole lot other than the fact they whack a great big rear wing on that Porsche 911 GT3R. It's turn 5 again. That's the big the big separator.
Yep.
You know, two drivers that could be equal at every other corner around this lap, but one of them will just be a little more confident with the turn 5 curbing and with their line through there. And a lot of that part of the S's is a little unsighted. You've got the turn 3 corner where you can't see the apex until you've already turned into it. It's, you know, Skyline from Wish.com. And then that turn 5 as well. You can't really see the exit curve until you're already into it as well. There's a few bits where if you know, you know. Here's Nikolaev with a big look, a big lunge, cuts quite a bit of the grass. Ooh. Enough for it to be a slowdown.
Slowdown.
Yeah, Munro wants a piece of it as well. It looks like he's still staying in it. They both bump on the exit of the final corner. Just ease him off a little bit, but there's that send. Looking like a lot of speed from Munro, just not making his way up through the pack as quickly as he potentially could.
Back of the group here, C2, you've got Ian Jordan, who remember we saw involved in that issue earlier, so he is now a lap down but back out on track. I want to take our attention away for a sec, although that battle is very, very heated. Gap for second is closed, yeah.
Baz has dropped away a little bit from Jake Jackson, but we know Aaron Obersteller could be one of the quickest drivers and quickest cars here. He's got almost the fastest lap of the race. That's from a long way back, a little too far back, I would dare say. Not going to finish this race wondering, though. They're going to have just 2 more laps to sort it out as they cross the line this time. Next time will be the white flag for Jake Jackson if he's still leading this one. Remember, it was Obersteller who sort of broke out to a little bit of a lead initially, or was trying to.
He's looked flustered ever since the pit stops, really, hasn't he? I mean, he lost the lead when he was in that battle with Stuart Brown. We were watching the replays of that incident, and ever since then, actually, he's looked really flustered. He doesn't look as composed, but in saying that, the last 2 or 3 laps, his lap times have really started to drop back down to where he was earlier, and his pace has definitely picked up. But something's happened in that battle we were watching before with Hilton Booth as well, so that battle we were watching...
W's, and it might have been Munro. There's a pinch point again at turn 1. Porsche's around the outside. The BMW gets to the inside.
Munro.
I'm going to put that in the box that you created earlier of whoever's perspective you watch it from, it's going to look like the other guy hit him.
Yep.
It's one of those things. Run. Oh, final corner. He's got such a run. But yeah, there's the white flag. Just going to set him off to try to really finish this one if he can. Such a good run up the hill and off that turn 10B. Wide out of turn 1, carrying the speed there. So you cannot see the apex until you've already turned into it. So again, turn 5 is the big separator here.
So you can get the run out now. Oh, don't.
You're kidding me. No, don't.
I thought that was going to end in tears, but look at what it's done. Just that attempt at distraction has compromised all of the momentum. He's lost so much ground from that. Interesting too, Hamish Munro has had to come into the pits on the last lap, received a black flag for that incident earlier on, so I'm guessing he exceeded the incident limit.
Wow. So for Obersteller there, I think he's, gone a little early on that one. really.
Yep.
Does not look in the position to be able to try to take this second place. Oh, I was worried for a second there. A little bit of a last lap moment for Jake Jackson as he has to go around. No worries at all. The checkered flag is for him, and he's going to kick off Season 8 with the path to victory. Baz holds on to that second, and Obersteller completes the podium, the pole sitter.
Battle for 8 still ongoing here. Blackman, Dwyer, Nikolaev still going in this fight. That car involved as well.
I was going to say anything could happen here, but the anything that could happen is running off the road. Blackman's got his 8th, Dwyer in 9th, Nikolaev completes the 10th.
And Pollock might be able to steal a spot here from Hilton Booth right at the line. No, had to back out of it. Couldn't get the momentum, but the car all the way offline there. Rodney Hobbs. Hobbs was the car that we saw slow through the S's there when we had the battle for 8. So I wonder if he got sent out there when he was trying to avoid everything, or whether he's gone out there all on his lonesome. But that's the race done. And I tell you what, there was a lot of action in that one.
Yeah, no doubt, and great to see no singular dominant mark for the first race there. Jake Jackson takes the win. David Baz second. Obersteller gets the first pole position the season and completes it with a podium. And you got Jason Muscat, Patrick Panton, Aiden Schultz, Nick Buxton, Jamie Blackman, Simon Dwyer, and John Nikolaev as our top 10. And the biggest mover in there was Jamie Blackman from 17th on the grid. Hilton Booth, Ben Pollock, Nick Bottrell, Zach Christie, Hamish Monroe, Matt Hardigan. We were watching that battle group right at the end. Plenty of racing for everyone, not just up front. Yeah, Matt Hardigan, Shane Newens, Jack Anderson, John Gagliardi, and Sam Batyip. 19th and 20th lap down there. Same for Ian Jordan and Tom Brown. And then 2 laps down, Ken O'Hara, Adam Hillmotion, Toby Wilson, Rodney Hobbs. And I guess you call that a retirement probably for Jake Buxton, Stuart Brown, and Jake Janjevic. And we're hopefully going to see Dean O'Brien in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll see him out there in his actual race. That was a fun one and a good way to start the night. The main event coming up next, though, should be very, very action-packed.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be looking forward to the big boys, the top division of the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. That one's coming up in not too long. Got to say thank you to everyone who's come on board to support this season and this broadcast. Simrigs.com and Ferguson Group Media, Chuka Toyota, Phoenix Smokers, Australian Sim Racing, and Index Designs. So we'll take a little break here on SimSpeed TV, and when we come back, it's the Pro-Am Sim Series. Looking forward to that here from Road Atlanta.
You do like it?
I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Welcome back. We're getting ready for the big race. The Season 8 of Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. And it's great to have our partners on board to make the season, the racing, and the broadcast possible. Like simrace.com, offering a large range of affordable and high-end racing simulator equipment for the beginner and pro alike. Australian owned and operated, with product advice and warranty service, offering single product or full turnkey rigs. Use the promo code OzProAm for a 5% discount at checkout. And of course, you can see that on your screen, OzProAm at checkout at simrigs.com for a 5% discount at checkout. Also on board for this Season 8, Ferguson Group Media, a full stack media company that work with SME business across website development, e-commerce, social media strategy and execution. For information, head to fergusongroupmedia.com. And returning again, Echuca Toyota. It's a family-owned and operated business that understands purchasing and owning a vehicle is a unique and important experience for our guests. We're committed to the Toyota brand, holding the full range of vehicles. This means that when you come to our dealership, you'll be able to view and test drive any Toyota that interests you. We also stock a diverse range of quality and certified pre-owned vehicles, each of which has been handpicked by us. For more, head to echucatoyota.com.au. To have our partners on board with us for the whole season, and we'll be broadcasting every single round. David Haynes here with Jay Kennedy. Jay, it's an exciting looking calendar, isn't it?
Definitely is, and of course, great place to start at Road Atlanta. Seen some action already in race one, in pass two. The Pro-Am just now commencing their qualifying, and that's going to be action-packed, heated, intense. I don't know what other superlatives to use. It's going to be very, very entertaining. As we had last season, 10-minute sprint race. Then we get into the main event not long after. We invert the top 10 once again, and then we send them out for 40 minutes, which is likely 2 pit stops. Strategy is going to be key once more. It's going to be very, very interesting.
It's going to be spicy. It's going to be umami. It's going to be minty. Hopefully it's not salty. We'll see. But yeah, what a great action-packed format that it is, with the qualifying into the 10-minute sprint, then into the feature race. Let's look at our past champions in AusPass, the pro class, the top outright division. It's Jack Boyd, Mick Bergens. Jeff Connell is our only 2-time champion in this division. Some bloke who won season 4 won't be racing with us tonight because he's somewhere else with some other commitments.
Never heard of him.
We wish him the best of luck. And then Lachlan Capel in season 6, and Kobe Williams, your reigning and defending champion in the pro class. Also going to take a look at the AM class.
Yep. AM class started in season 2. We had dual winners, Josh Perwin and Hayden Jackson. Daniel Webster, 2-time champion of the AM class. Maverick Benson in season 5. Season 6 was Matthew Johnson. Dylan O'Shea in the last season picked up the win. The AM class has been very, very competitive the whole way through, hasn't it? So it's one of the cool things about this series is that the series is competitive the whole way through, regardless of your pace, whether you're the absolute fastest guy battling for wins or you find yourself mid-pack in the AM. You've always got plenty of people to battle with, not just one or two like you might find in other series. There's a group of guys that you can battle with.
And if you love cheering for an underdog, we've definitely spent many a time in the race going, look, the AM leader is up into 3rd overall. And
hey, have a look at that now.
Almost grabbed, there's a photo opportunity, almost grabbed a win, I think, at Spa. We did grab a win at Spa in last season. So, yeah, certainly it gives us plenty to look at and talk about, and sort of, especially in the longer race. You can look at 2 division leaders and battles, etc. It's Tim Harris. Have you been reading my Facebook comments? Because I had one saying, you know...
Well, I mean, he is leading the AM class at the moment, so...
All right, fair enough.
Important to put him in there. If you are wondering too why I'm in the commentary box and not Dan Yeaman, you can probably tell when you look at the timing sheet.
Yeah, there he is at the top of the overall qualifying.
I don't think it will be for long, though. I think he's just about to lose it.
Well, he's next to a bunch of previous champions, isn't he? With Lachlan Capel and Jeff Connell in 2nd and 3rd. Rizzo in 7th there. Here is the man, Jeff Connell, known for being in the McLaren in previous seasons, in the Mercedes last season, and in the Mercedes once again. In Veld, looking like he's gearing up to go for another attempt. They get a little bit of a longer qualifying session than the past 2 guys got, and therefore we're seeing drivers maybe attempt, you know, to break it up into a couple more runs.
The other part to that is that the format for Pro-Am is different to Pass 2. Pass 2, checkered flag comes out, drivers can finish their lap. In Pro-Am, checkered flag comes out, that ends the session. So they do get an extra 5 minutes on the clock, but they can't use all of that time. So they might only get effectively 3 minutes extra. What is there? An extra 15 odd cars. So while you're getting a bit of extra time, you've got no track to use. So it'll be very, very smart. That's why we did see earlier a few drivers out there using teammates to help them get a little bit of gap and a little bit of room. The times in this session are very, very competitive. We see a new person at the top, that being Marcus Watson, and he and Brad Watson teaming up together for the teams championship. That'll be a very, very competitive pairing.
Yeah, very, very strong lap time there for the provisional pole. Track looks like it could be cooling off a little bit. And yeah, with 40 drivers and 4 kilometers, like Usain Bolt, you get 100 meters all to yourself, and that's about it. There is Brad Watson in these Audis that appear to have multiplied from one division to the next.
I said there was going to be a few more Audis out there. Top 2 currently Audi. We've got an Audi in P8, Audi in P15, but still a good mix of everything else. So top 5 at the moment: Audi, Porsche, Mercedes, Ferrari, and then a Lamborghini and a Porsche. We would have loved to have seen that last season, but the balance of performance didn't quite play out that way. Speaking of balance of performance, we haven't talked about it yet. This season, well, from last season, we had the balance of performance where every single car started the season on 100% engine power and could drop, depending on results, all the way down as much as possible. This season, it's been mixed up a little bit. Everyone's starting on 98%. And we can obviously see adjustments throughout the season based on performances. The worst performing that a car can go down to is 96%. So we're not going to see a car get hampered incredibly badly like we saw last season with the Lamborghini dropping, I think, down to 94% or 95% last season. 96 is the lowest they can go. And of course, everyone starting on 98 means that the cars that are absolutely outmatched tonight will get a little bit of a bonus next week.
Yeah, it just means you can tip the seesaw in either direction on each model's car performance. Definitely a clever decision to sort of narrow the window, but open it in either direction as necessary to keep every car competitive and keep the racing close and give everyone a fair shot at it. Just about 5 minutes left then in this session for Adam Jepson and his Porsche. The line comes up in time for him to improve in the 5.25, 25th. And I don't think he actually did, don't think he did improve on the lap. He just finished though. Marcus Watson is not on the track, so I'm not sure he might just get out for one more run. Yeah, he is, and he will. But they've trimmed that back a little bit. His advantage, but it's Watson up front for a Watson front row potentially if they can't find some improvement. Lachlan Capel's gone and found a purple third sector. I wasn't really seeing many purples at all. Some personal bests, some drivers trying to
O'Shea as well.
Weave together their best laps.
Dylan O'Shea's just gone up into third position as well, so he's just shot himself forward. Alex Cord also back in the field has shot himself forward as well, so lots of drivers that are making moves on the timing sheets now. When we joined the session and started to get coverage through, we saw Timothy Harris, the lead AM driver, was in 5th. He's dropped back to 12th, but he's still the lead AM driver.
Yeah, there you go. There he is in the Locked On Lads BMW.
They got some good guests on that podcast they were doing.
I was going to say I got my episode, you got your episode, and then, they went on a little bit of a break because they'd, achieved everything there was to achieve in the Australian sim racing podcasting
only
landscape.
Downhill from us too, isn't it?
That's right. Once they've scraped that much of the barrel,
there's nothing left in the barrel if they've scraped us out.
There you have it.
Everyone's shaping up for one last lap, aren't they? I'm sure you're looking at the timing sheet as much as me and going, there's not much going on lap time wise at the moment. There's little microsector times that look okay, but there's no one going, wow, you're on a great lap at the moment. Jeff Connell's done a good first sector, but he's on his 5th lap in these tyres, so I don't know if there's anything left in that. But Marcus Watson, currently P1, he is on his flying lap, and I think he's already ruined it through the S's.
Well, the first sector, which really is just the pit straight in turn 1, he was onto it. Turn 3, it becomes the real challenge of the second micro sector. And yeah. There might be a few of them parking it down the back straight, looking at the clock, saying, I just need to cross the line with 1:20 left.
Connell was on a lap, but he's just backed out of it and going to have one more crack. Interesting that Connell hasn't come into the pits like everyone else has. So, like Marcus Watson, he's been in the pits 5 times. Jeff Connell's gone out on the set of tyres, come into the pits, changed tyres, and gone back out once. But I don't think he's got any time.
On here.
Yeah, Capel's looking okay. Maybe
he's up on his previous lap.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to improve much at all to get a couple spots, because 100th would get him ahead of Yeaman, 400th would get him ahead of O'Shea and onto the second row of the grid there. Good attack through 10A and 10B. Up and over the crest, he's still attacking, and it's just flat out. Shortest run you can get to the line, which is just on the exit of the corner here. And for him, it's a personal best final sector as well, and it will leapfrog him, but just the one position.
Just pips his team boss right at the last second. He won't have time for another lap. Oh no, he will just have time for another lap, so we'll see what he can do.
He will. Everyone who's crossing the line now, that's their session over.
Yep.
So he will not get to finish this. Effectively, the checkered flag and the red flag come out at the same time.
Yeah. Way of describing it. Close the track as they've waved the checkered. Joshua Fitt might be on something here, currently in P14. What he actually does, current best is an 18.3. And doesn't count, so that is his session done. Jepson may improve here at the end of his lap. There's not much lighting up for me on the timing sheet anyway.
Has Dean O'Brien just finished one? I think he gone off track in the third sector. I was seeing Ross Rizzo potentially. First sector just a tiny bit off, but then he's been very strong through the second and
He's not going
third
to make it to the line, is he?
Oh, gosh, he might not. You're right, Ross Rizzo there.
Oh, this is close.
Hold the door open for him. Is Ross Rizzo going to make it to the line to improve?
Yes.
Yeah, he will, and by a bunch up to 6th. He was down
Lachlan
in 12th
Capel to P1.
A lot of change right at the end of that qualifying session. Do or die sort of thing. Pole changes. Good leap from Ross Rizzo as well. Let's look at that grid for the first of 2 races. Capel and Marcus Watson are the front row. Brad Watson and Dylan O'Shea are the second row.
There we go. Sorry. Breaking things here in the background.
Quicker. You found that quicker than I found mine. So Daniel Gaiman and Ross Rizzo, the third row. Jeff Connell and Tyson Broad, Christopher Henn and Aaron Cooper, Chu Kang and Sebastian Flock. Got some good Lamborghinis up the front here as well, so plenty of variety. And then your AM class pole sitter, Tim Harris, is going to be sharing his row with Joshua Fitt. He'll be happy to be a row clear of his next AM competitor in Ben Jeffrey. And then Matthew Johnson there. Adam Funslow and Alex Court are row 9 in their Porsche and Mercedes-Benz, and things get a little more mixed between the Pro and the AM competitors here with Daniel Webster and Dean O'Brien, Brandon Grock and Glenn Riddle, Graham Smith and Dale Carpenter, who's very competitive in the BMW in some previous seasons, so don't be surprised if you see him moving forward from row 12 there. And then Jeffrey Wang, Ben Faulkner, Adam Jepson, Luke Fitt, Tony Baker, Stephen Tonkin, and it is a stacked field because it just keeps going with Derek Audie and Jordan Ferguson. Got qualifying times out of Hayden Veld and Gustavo Cirillo, Brandon Levin, Richard Brookfields. Just 1 or 2 more. Timothy Audie, Jai Potts, Phil Audie, Sam Lehman, Liam Caplice, Kurt Woodward. And wow, it does just keep going. It's Brady Buchanan and Tom Wilkinson.
A huge field, isn't it? It's great to see how many drivers we've got coming in for this series once again. Great to see everyone back for another season. Going to be very, very entertaining once more.
So race 1, they're just about to get rolling on that formation lap. 10 minutes, so it should be no pit stops. It should just be an out-and-out sprint, and then it will set the grid for the 40-minute feature, with the exception of an top 10 invert, which ignores the class structure. So it is always a good thing if you can be an AM driver inside of the top 10. Just waiting on the green flag. Barney waves it, and away they will roll, and that is a good launch from the inside of the front row of Lachlan Capel, but they are so stacked up behind here as they head in towards turn number 1. Still too wide as they work their way through the uphill sweeper. Capel, the only one with any elbow room there, followed by Marcus Watson, and then into turn 3, you just expect a bit of carnage, 2 to 3 wide. So far, so good. We saw in pass 2 that it's no guarantee of future performance.
Lachlan Capel Liam Caplice has brought his car into the pits on the start of this lap, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, we've made it through pretty much clean.
Stop. Don't try. It's on for the lead regardless, though. Marcus Watson wants that back, dives down the inside there, but it's a good run off the corner from Capel. He's under a lot of pressure, though, from behind with Brad Watson, Dylan O'Shea, etc. They're all going to slipstream. Spear down the back straight. Which way does Watson take the snake? Capel's almost bump drafting him along here, but is then just going to think about down the inside. Watson's got it covered as they come into 10A and 10B. Move on in the background there is Connell and on Ross Rizzo.
We've seen Dan O'Brien, Daniel Webster through
it's
on
happening
him.
now.
There it is.
They straighten themselves out somehow, some way. But there's a dented panel or two and definitely plenty of smoke in the air in that section.
Oh!
How do these not end in giant shunts every time?
It's Luke Fitt.
It's 4 into turn 1 in front, and that is going to produce the inevitable result.
That's Dean O'Brien off in the weeds. Timothy Harris also having issues too, so he's lost everything on his car there.
Yeah, that's rough, and you could have cut through a tree with the sawtooth on the rear wing of the Porsche as well. Started with that check-up in turn 10A and 10B, and then it led to someone making a decision that 4 wide was going to work in a turn 1. It didn't.
I mean, that surprises nobody that it didn't work.
Yep. So up front, Marcus Watson with that lead from Capel. His brother Brad Watson, Dylan O'Shea and Jeff Connell. Ross Rizzo back into 6th. Now this, unrelated, the Porsche does yo-yo Porsche things.
That was Dean O'Brien. What happened? Was Harris involved in that 4 wide?
Who's in the Pulse BMW?
We've got...
There, it's just back there.
Yeah. Harris was the car that went in there. Here we go. That's Sam Lehman, is it? In there, or John Merritt, maybe?
No.
No, don't know. We've lost it. Still going on back here, though.
It's going on everywhere, of course
Yeah,
it will.
good
There's
point.
43 cars on track. Balance of performance in effect for the GT3 League. And it's just a 10-minute race. Score some points, set the grid for the pit stop feature coming up later. This is your leading pack. No one quite able to get away. This is the largest lead anyone's enjoyed just yet. Marcus Watson has 9/10 over Lachlan Capel in the Porsche. Brad Watson also in a very shiny and chrome Audi. Maximising all of the road and the angle through turn 1, on the entry, through it, and on the exit. Sunset reflects beautifully the great range of well-presented cars that we got on the grid. Challenge in turn 5. Our field snake their way through it.
A fractured field starting to appear, isn't there? There's a couple of cars that are started to separate. The big gap between 10th and 11th. The rest of the field is pretty much all together from there on back, aren't they? There's no real gaps except for that one for P10 and P11.
Yeah, and that's the interesting one, isn't it? Because whoever finishes P10th is going to be on the pole for the second race. But it's not really super contested there. Sebastian Flock in 11th. A little way away from looking like he can challenge for that. Your AM leader at the moment is Brandon Grosh, I think. Because we saw dramas for Tim Harris, who was
Have a look at the name of the team.
Class. Back Pain and Ice Strain Racing.
How good is that? It's one of the best team names I've seen. Loved it. Just made me think of everything that I think about when I'm racing.
Or when you're trying to, load the groceries out of the back of the car.
Get out of bed.
Oh, side by side through turn 3, so
no
difficult.
shade.
You can't even see the apex, and somehow it stays clean.
He should not have made that look as easy as he did there, Dylan O'Shea. That's not an easy move to do at all, but he's made it look like absolutely simple. And here comes Jeff Connell now looking to make a move.
Yep, Connell is sniffing around. Connell's gotten back in front of Rizzo as well. You get just a little bit of spread up front here from Watson to Capel. Then it's all on over third place, isn't it? So Shea slid across the apex and into third. Brad Watson wants it back. I smell that. The Audi's going to get the inside line at the bottom of the hill. Multiple lines can work, and the drive off the corner uphill can be really, really important as well. And I think O'Shea's done that well again, but he is back into 4th.
That gap that we were talking about between 10th and 11th too was 2.5 seconds. It's now down to 1.5. So Block is coming. Has he got enough time left on the clock? Probably. It's still 3 laps in the race, so he could get there up to 10th to get that inverse pole.
Absolutely could. Sebastian Flock in the Lamborghini. Super close here from that third on back group. Brad Watson, Dylan O'Shea. I remember seeing in a BMW quite commonly. He's in a Porsche this time around. Connell back in black. Ross Rizzo.
Rizzo also in a new car.
Yeah, he's jumped around a little bit. I've seen him in an Audi plenty of times, and in the Lamborghini, and then
yep.
Beamer, and now into a Porsche.
Shows that drivers are doing a lot of testing to try and work out what suits their style, considering the iRacing balance of performance changes every iRacing season. Lots of thinking goes into which car they're going to pick, because remember, they're locked in for pretty much the season. They can change once, but whatever they did in pre-qualifying, they're locked into for the season pretty much.
Oh no, Rizzo around, and he's been hit, and he's facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 1. The Porsche's had a moment in turn number 1, and it's actually hindered some of the other drivers as well. So Capel's second, Watson third, but I think Dylan O'Shea might have lost out here as well. So Rizzo on his own, rear just goes. Look at that, boop. From Yeaman, was it?
Yeaman, yeah. That was the second car through. There was Tyson Broad just in behind him. So Rizzo drops down to 18th position. As we were saying before, not going to take much for that reverse grid pole to change with that top 10 as tightly contested as it was. Well, now Sebastian Flock finds himself in prime position for a reverse grid pole, and there'll be one to go when they cross the line.
Yeah, play some Jaws music if you want. He's hunting down on this group. They're battling amongst each other. Particularly Joshua Fitt. Oh!
That's Tyson Broad around.
Broad. In such an awkward place. Oh my goodness, they avoid him somehow. Guys coming behind did a great job to slow up just enough to not make contact. Oh, it's all on in multiple places around the circuit here on the final lap.
This is now for 10th. Oh, Fitt's around.
Wow. There's Johnson.
Oh, Johnson as well. And he's just lost 10th position. He's back to 11th. Alex Court now holds 10th.
Yeah, he does. Everywhere you look, it's like this. Court in the 44 with the 10th place will be pole position. Christopher Henn and Matthew Johnson. Oh, 3-4 cars. And what was your AM leader, Brendan Grosh, is around here as well.
Yeah.
So it's shook up big time on the final lap. The only place you're safe is if you're out front, as Marcus Watson. Capel and Brad Watson looking like they could complete the podium here, as you got O'Shea and Connell on your screen. But for the first race of the new season, it's absolutely going to be Marcus Watson in the Audi. Great qualifying, gets the win, and the pole position. But it's going to put him back to 10th for the upcoming race, but he has been unstoppable so far.
Stellar performance from Watson. Both Watsons P1, P3. Lachlan Capel splitting them, but going to be lots discussed after this one. And remember, this is only the prelude for the main event. It's only a 10-minute race. The real action's going to heat up from the next one when we get into the big one over 40 minutes.
It could go off. So this is how they finished race 1. The sprint, if you will. Marcus Watson, Lachlan Capel, Brad Watson, Dylan O'Shea, Jeff Connell, Daniel Yeaman, Sebastian Flock, Graham Smith, Aaron Cooper, and Alex Court. Take that top 10 and you flip them to get your grid for race number 2. Christopher Henn, 11th. From Matthew Johnson, Daniel Webster, Chu Kang, Adam Funslow, 15th, and Ben Jeffrey becomes the AM winner through all of that.
Oh, did you just see that?
There was a lot of cars that hit each other after the checkered flag, and I reckon it put some over the incident limit.
Glenn Cito Riddell was second in AM, but he's now exceeded the incident limit and drops all the way back to, I think, 34th or 35th position.
Tell you what, there might have been some that went over the incident limit even before they crossed
Yeah,
the check
very
flag,
true.
if we're honest with ourselves. There was bumping, barging cars off track everywhere you looked. So yeah, then Ben Faulkner, Jordan Ferguson, Derek Audie, it's your top 20 overall. And my goodness, there is a story for a lot of drivers from here on down as well. Joshua Fitt, Dale Carpenter, Gustavo Cirillo, Richard Brookfield, Timothy Audie, Luke Fitt, Tyson Broad, Brady Buchanan, Tom Wilkinson, Jai Potts. Then I think some of the big names to point out back here, I mean, after Tony Baker comes Tim Harris, who was the pole sitter in that class, and he does not bag the points or a good starting result at all. Kurt Woodward, Adam Jepson, I mean, Ross Rizzo, Liam Caplice, Sam Lehman, not names you expected to read down here.
No, not at all. And I mean, in saying that, you still had 41 drivers on the lead lap in the end. But as you said, everyone back here had a story to tell. Not all of them good. Most of them not.
Well, it's just a couple minutes till they'll be lining up for the big race. Pays more points. It's got a pit stop in it as well. What will the strategy be like for the season opener of Oz Pro-Am Sim Series? Stick with us because we're going to find out.
So you do like it? I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate. This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Welcome back. We're gearing up for the final race of the evening, the feature race of the Pro-Am division of AusPass for our Season 8. We're back. And you can celebrate by using Oz Pro-Am for 5% off at simrigs.com, title sponsor of the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. Nice little code. Long-time sponsor and supporter as well of this championship and the broadcast.
Great to have them continuing on for another season as well. Been great to have them a part of this series and many, many others within the AusNZ community. It's great to see sim racing companies giving back.
And I tell you
all
what,
different leagues.
I've just been watching in the warm-up here a couple of drivers practicing their pit entry. How important was that run through pit lane in the past two second division race? It definitely was really important.
100%. And we've said it how many times in other series and other seasons past of this series as well, that it's the easiest spot to gain positions is in the pit lane. You can find yourself evenly matched with someone out on track, but if you can gain half a second, easiest place to gain time is in the pit lane. We'll see plenty of overtakes in there. Fingers crossed we will see it relatively clean at pit entry.
Give me an over-under on someone running out of fuel in this one.
Highly likely, but it may be at the end of the second phase, or the third phase, I should say, after the second pit stop, where someone tries to get in that lap early to maybe get themselves out of traffic, because traffic is going to be a big issue as well.
Let's keep our eyes and ears open on that strategy as it plays out for the 40-minute feature race. This is how they're lining up. Alex Court, lucky on the draw, gets the pole position, sharing the front row with Aaron Cooper. It's the invert of the top 10. Graham Smith, Sebastian Flock, row 2. Daniel Yeaman and Jeff Connell on row 3. Dylan O'Shea, Brad Watson, Lachlan Capel, and Marcus Watson over the top 10. And then it's into starting race 2 as they finished race 1. Christopher Henn, Matthew Johnson, etc. As we showed you after race number 1. The field getting ready for this one. The sun lower towards the horizon, the light more golden, and the track, has it cooled off at all? Just a little bit. They're getting ready. The pace car is in. The leader has to hold the speed till Barney waves the green flag. He's got it in the air. He drops it. Get racing for 40 minutes. A good jump from the pole sitter again, Alex Court. Oh, but there's drama already.
Yeah, and that's 2 Simrigs cars. So the Exodus Racing car and the Simrigs DPR car. So that's gone horribly, horribly badly. And, I just saw another car sliding
Dale
as
Carpenter.
well. Yeah, Carpenter. At the front, though, it's relatively clean, which is good to see.
Stop it, Jay. Just stop it. You tried it in race number 1 as well.
And in
come to
past
the boil a little earlier in this one, but they are more single file through the S's this time around. I think the field was strung a little further for this one than the previous start. It's happened here over second and third, though. Aaron Cooper and Graham Smith. Smith's trying to get down the inside. The BMW couldn't do it. There's a view backwards from the Porsche and the nose of the Beamer. So who's made moves already in this lap? Well, Lachlan Capel has. He's up into 6th. Look at that Porsche there. He's leapfrogged himself from Sebastian Flock and Jeff Connell, who did not get a good start.
Ben Yeaman also making a couple of moves. He's up a spot and trying to get a couple more.
Smith around. He was trying to have another dig at turn 10A and B, and he finds himself in a position we've seen already tonight, trying desperately to rejoin without causing a giant accident. So Court still leads after lap 1. He's made good on that pole position. This is Christopher Henn facing the wrong way on the pit straight. A bit of contact might have helped him there. Yeaman will quickly be putting some pressure to the lead because he's worked his way through some of that carnage at the end of the first lap. Goes back one spot.
Flock.
Big one at 3. Big incident at turn 3.
Looks like there's only going to be a solo car incident, which is good to see, but
there's also a big incident at turn 3.
Oh. I've missed that one. There it is. We've got Liam Caplice, Adam Jepson involved. Flock's going to drop from, 6th down to 36 from that incident that he just had as well. Dylan O'Shea, he's looking to make moves very, very quickly here.
Yeah, he's looking around the outside of Aaron Cooper. Will be the inside at turn 10. Pretty deep. Looks to get clear so he can take the second apex. That's the key to making the pass there, because if the guy can still hold the apex for when the track flips back the opposite way, you can find yourself in trouble, and it's really compromised Cooper as well, because Lachlan Capel gets by him around. Oh, Cooper, all sorts there.
Now, Marcus Watson in the pits very, very early. There is a bit of damage to the back of his car. He's actually forced into the pits because he's got a mechanical black flag. So, winner of race 1 in trouble early is Jeff Connell starting to get involved in the action. He and Brad Watson. Now, from memory, I'm going back what feels like into the olden days, but Watson and Connell used to be in some very, very heated rivalries.
Using the Nando's menu rating scale? How many chilies are we talking?
It's definitely not lemon and herb, I'll tell you that. We're going hotter than that. We're going hotter than base. So that'll be interesting to watch. Jeffrey Wang and Chu Kang going at it too, side by side through turn 9. Big commitment needed to outbrake someone through turn 10. The downhill can force everyone to brake a little bit later than they might normally. They've got through that okay, but Jordan Ferguson trying to get involved, take advantage too of Chu Kang's tardy momentum out of turn 10.
Yeah, you're looking at your AM leader in Wang and second is Ferguson. Now Chu Kang splits them, so for Jordan Ferguson, if he wants a class win, he's got to get up there and get amongst it, no doubt.
Lead starting to get heated as well. It's pretty spicy up here. Caught Gaiman, O'Shea and Capel in there too, so started to break away from everyone else.
Super consistent initially with that pole that he inherited, and he's held the lead for a little bit. You did sense that, well, the natural order of things would be those drivers who finished in the top 5 of race number 1 start coming back through and challenging you. Gaiman, O'Shea, Capel shaping up to do that. Gaiman in the Audi, is he going to have an optimistic look here? No, he's not. He might have lifted and rolled into that one a little bit as well.
I was actually surprised by the fact he didn't think about making a move, but then again, Dylan O'Shea would have tried to take advantage if it didn't go to plan. But O'Shea also, for a second there, looked like he might have thought about making a move on Yeaman. So there's a little bit of mind games going on in this group here. Very, very interesting to watch. Side note as well, we've had Liam Caplice and Ross Rizzo both retire from the race from their lap 1 incidents as well.
That's 2 previous champions out then, isn't it? Oh, there you go. And there is maybe a little different character to this right now compared to that 10-minute race. They know they're coming up for some pit stops. They know they don't necessarily need to lead right now. So you might see a few of them, if the pace is good, think about just holding station. Here is Sam Lehman.
Second biggest mover in the field right now, Sam Lehman. Up 13 positions. Just behind him, Hayden Veld is the biggest mover in the field. Up 15. Lots of drivers up 12 though.
Yeah, plenty of drivers who didn't finish that first race where they thought they would, and then plenty of drivers have already been taken out of this second race. So from the depth of the field, it's not unimaginable to start in the 40s and, you know, end up in the 20s.
Judging by what we saw in pass 2, we're, 3 laps away from coming into the pits? About 9 laps? It's just, about the 12-minute mark? 11 and a half, 12-minute mark, we started to see pit stops. So I'm pretty sure that these guys in the field now will be starting to think and strategize around when they're going to pit. Fuel saving, you think, well, it's only a 40-minute race. What's the point of fuel saving? The point is, if you can fuel save, it may save you half a second in the pit stop when you're not even going to be able to make an overtake anyway. So that's why when we talk about lift and coast and things like that, even though it's such a short race, it can make a huge impact later on. You can save yourself half a second in the pit stop. That could be 2 positions with how tight this field is right now.
And who's made famous that strategy in AusPass,
the man that's
in this train, in a
right
black
at the back
Mercedes,
of the train.
In 6th place, that's right.
Will be on the mega save.
He almost ran up the back of Aaron Cooper. There's no fuel save in that. So,
well, in saying that, he may be clutch and coast, which then means you don't have the engine braking, which does save a bit more fuel. So maybe that was why he got so close, was because he was saving fuel.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely be one to watch when the pit strategy
We'll know pretty quickly, won't we? We'll know if he goes 1 lap longer than everyone else. We know that he's up to shenanigans once again.
Yeah. There'll come a point where the curtain drops and we'll know what's up. Till that point, a good little breakaway for this top 7. If you're part of this, you're rolling along nicely, because here they are all together. Brad Watson on the tail of it in 7th place. I'm looking a little bit further back to Adam Funslow, and they are not quite running the same pace here.
That gap between Watson and Funslow is stretching out pretty quick. Last lap by was a second slower Adam Funslow, so the guys in this group now can all but throw away a chance at taking a win or anything like that. Will Yeaman have a look this time? No, he won't. Jeff Connell pulls out as well. Thought about maybe doing something, but no, slots back in, fuel save mode. Brad Watson sitting there watching and waiting as well as Chu Kang and Jeffrey Wang go at it once again. I feel like I said that maybe 5 or 6 minutes ago.
And do you remember saying it because you felt your tongue a little bit tied? There goes Chu Kang for the pit lane, one of our first callers. Very, very interesting indeed. Has a little bit of a wiggle as he gets the car down to 72 kilometres an hour.
Capel.
Where his pit crew are. Remembering they might have changed from last race and qualifying. Yeah, Lachlan Capel, there's a drum for him from our top 7 group.
Turns into a Victor Lawnmower instead of a drop bear Porsche. And yes, I can confirm my tongue did get tied, but in saying that, my tongue gets tied saying my own name. So it's not really a guide on whether something has been said previously or not. Comes Matthew Johnson, driver that we saw very, very competitive last season. Of course, won the AM. Was it season 6 that he won the AM, or was it last season? No, O'Shea won it last season, so season 6. But Johnson was one of those drivers that always seemed to find himself around that top 10, and I think he had a couple of races where he was on that reverse grid pole.
He was always in contention of that kind of thing, wasn't he? We were seeing that paint on BMW at times. And I think, yeah.
Yep, I think you're right. Everyone coming into the pits this lap. Court's in. Cooper in.
50-50 split from the front group, isn't it?
Yeah, Brad Watson's in. Matthew Webster's in. Adam Funslow's in. So Daniel Webster. Smith, Ferguson, Wang all in, but Broad has stayed out from that second group. So it's on for the lead still, but Connell and Capel, Matthew Johnson, Tyson Broad, Tim Harris are the ones that have stayed out. But O'Shea looks like he wants to steal the lead away from Yeaman. Yeaman doesn't look like he's too fast. He's just out there cruising. His worry is fuel conservation more than track position or battling for the lead, I would think.
Yeah, you've got to measure it very carefully on this, one
There's a balance, isn't there?
Extend, because suddenly you're all by yourself and you are the leader. You've got to make sure you make it around. Races off of pit lane with some of these drivers rejoining.
Sam Lehman's gone the alternate strategy from what we saw him all last season. Last season, he went extremely late, was always the fuel saver. This time he's doing it the reverse fuel save. He's pitted early. He's going to try and extend the middle or late stint a lap longer, but he's come out in good track position. We said he was up, I think, 13 positions earlier. He's now up 15, so he's gaining spots. Technically, at the moment, Timothy Harris is the biggest mover, up 25, but of course he's going to lose most of them. Pit stop cycle, though, hasn't gone well for Derek Audie. He's received a black flag for speeding on pit exit.
Yeah, ouch. So now everyone is in.
Aaron Cooper's stolen the effective lead away from Alex Court.
Yeah, sure has. Court's under a bit of pressure now.
Oh, Timothy Harris has got a black flag.
Around. Oh, dear.
A new race leader, Dylan O'Shea.
Yeah, quicker than the aiming through the pits. There's Jeff Connell rejoining in 4th. And Cooper gets around him.
Timothy Harris is still stationary with his stop and hold penalty for speeding in the pits.
He's going to be filthy. And so is Braden Martin, I reckon. So then your AM leader, Jeffrey Wang, still has a car between himself and Jordan Ferguson. And then a couple of cars to Gustavo Cirillo. So when you're at the very, very front of the AM class, you do get occasionally some buffer cars in between.
Heated pack for 4th in AM though. This one here between Lehman, Baker, Veld, Potts, Buchanan, Riddell, Groch, Carpenter, Jeffrey all in this together. So, we could see some fireworks in this little group here.
Including those side by side. Oh, come on, this has ended poorly before.
Oh, they made it through.
They sure have. It's often the driver on the outside of the right-hander that we saw ending up in grief.
Lachlan Capel trying to hit his way forward ahead of Alex Cord, who's dropped another position back behind Brad Watson. So the front of the field shake-up has been... O'Shea's been the winner, and Alex Cord has been the loser, I would guess. Like, Cord's dropped, what, 5 positions? He was in the lead pre-pit stop. Now back to 6th, maybe about to be 7th. Jeff Connell and Dylan O'Shea, you'd say, would be the winners.
So, O'Shea's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment as well, doesn't he? So he's been quick, might do well with a little bit of clean air. Dan Yeaman is very, very happy to just ride with the tow in the first stint. Has no such help in this phase.
A bit too far back, isn't he? He's 1.7 seconds, so he needs to find a tiny little bit of ground before he'll get that draft back again. Capel finally gets through on Alex Court, and you just saw in the background before too, we saw Adam Funslow lose a spot to Marcus Watson. Remember Marcus Watson, who won race 1, he dropped, what, back to 20th or so? Now back into 8th position, so a good recovery through the field after a horrible lap 1 for him.
Yeah, now of course he's short on fuel compared to everyone else around him.
Yeah, you're right.
Having stopped early, he still owes about 6 laps of fuel.
Tried to have the mechanical black flag early on, didn't he? So part of the reason why he's now back in what appears as contention, but even still, get yourself back into this this range of positions. Has to be a good boost to the confidence.
I think the challenge is to make it to the end on just one stop from where he was supposed to stop on lap 2 as well. So that's probably got to be on his mind. Cooper sandwiched between here. Connell, who's one of those drivers who went 1 lap longer than the majority of the field. Cooper and Watson only went 8. Oh, O'Shea from the lead. A moment in turn 1. We've seen that these Porsches very unstable at the limit through the fast turn number 1. It bit Ross Rizzo. It's bit Dylan O'Shea, and he's ceded the lead to Dan Yeaman. Connell and Cooper up into 2nd and 3rd. O'Shea looks like there's no damage there, so we'll take a look. But turn 1 and Porsches is becoming a bit of a combination here at Road Atlanta. Take a look.
Hit the grass on the outside? No. It went mid-corner, didn't it? And, oh, tell you what, how's that from Yeaman? That was almost heavy contact. Yeah, it's got away with it. And O'Shea could probably say he's got away with that relatively unscathed. I mean, he's only dropped to 7th position. He's still only 4 seconds behind the leader. That could have ended a lot worse for him.
Yep, car contact or the wall either side. That would have done it.
Or even spinning a little bit further. Like, oh!
He really has to squeeze his way down the inside of Alex Court, doesn't he? There was a lane there, and he went for it. Alex Court tells us what he thinks about it. Now he looks like he's going to get swallowed up by Marcus Watson through the final corner, and Watson almost chops his nose off as well.
Funslow's in this as well, so you might see Adam Funslow try and steal a spot away as well. So won't at this stage, but battle looking relatively heated. Now, just noticing that something, while we were watching that replay for Dylan O'Shea, the man who was our AM class leader, well, I say was because he's now no longer, Jeffrey Wang's had an error, and now Jordan Ferguson leads AM.
Yeah, there was a little bit of space between him and even some buffer cars there as well. now. Back to the lead.
Something's happened to Graham Smith there too. Not sure what's happened there, but we've just lost Smith from the race.
In the SMS car. There we have. Definitely indeed have. Now immediately behind Ferguson is a lap down car and then Cirillo? No, that's Cirillo.
We got Wang and Cirillo there together.
Yeah.
Wang in the red Simrig's AusPass car. And that is very, very tight. Cirillo can't get through. With the Audi coming along the background of shot. No, he's a little bit further back. I'm not sure who that Ferrari is in the background. Might be Derek Audi actually in the background there. I think too, Dylan O'Shea's lost a spot to Marcus Watson. The lead now starting to get quite heated. Aaron Cooper
racing again.
Aaron Cooper was starting to drop a long way in that first stint, wasn't he? He was just getting past and everyone was sort of taking advantage and taking spots away from him. But this stint here, he's looked a lot stronger. And a change of position again for our AM class because the leader is now no more. Jeffrey Wang's got it back.
Top
Jordan Ferguson,
5.
turn 5.
Top at turn 5. It's facing the wrong way. It's getting dark and the sun's setting over Road Atlanta. Your leaders work their way through turns 10A and B. And Lachlan Capel decides he's done with 5th place. He wants up into 4th. And he gets it to try to push up to the leaders. There goes Watson the 2nd.
Dean O'Brien's just received a black flag as well. So that would potentially be for the incident limit. Not 100% sure, but likely if you're getting a black flag when you've been out racing at this point would be the most probable thing.
So of this leading 5, it's Yeaman, Connell and Capel that went 9 laps in the opening stint and should have a bit of a fuel advantage in their pocket.
Chu Kang's the one that's really out of sequence in the lead 10, isn't he?
Well, by 1 lap, yeah.
By 2 laps when you compare him to, say, Yeaman. Johnson.
I think it's fair to call 8 the baseline and 9 is going long and Chukang was just a little short.
Yeah.
Especially compared to those he was racing around. There weren't many guys that were around him that
very good point.
For the 9. It was always the drivers from the top 10 mainly who tried it.
How far do we expect these guys to go the next stop? Will they get to 15 minutes? Remembering that starting fuel and max fuel tanks are slightly different, slightly off center. So I think you said, 18 minutes to a tank for that 30%? Give or take?
Yeah, that'd be correct.
Yeah, so we go 11 minutes for the first stint, 18 minutes for the second stint. So around about anywhere from 9 to 11 minutes to go in the race before we see that second stop. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you can potentially make it from here, which you're actually seeing some drivers think about. Tony Baker in the pits, Christopher Head in the pits. That didn't go well, did it? Jordan Ferguson's come in after his spin as well. So if they can do 18 minutes, you can make it from now.
Could be the decision someone making. This is your leading battle. Lachlan Capel, remembering past Brad Watson not so long ago, he's right in position to try to get by Aaron Cooper. Capel pushing on here, and there he goes, so deep on the brakes. My goodness. And he's through.
That was a very, very nice move. Very, very difficult to pull off, but he's done a very good job. That was Lachlan Capel, and I don't see anyone in this lead group coming in now. I wouldn't be surprised if someone in that the top 5 of AM comes in to try and get out of traffic, try something different. Hope that they can get some clear track and maybe break away. Maybe someone in the lower regions of the top 10 might do that same sort of move, but it'd be risky with such a huge field because there's not much clear track out there, is there?
No, I would say so. We covered that off earlier. There's 100 meters to each car. The reality is that you get clumped in quite a bit. This has been a long one for Riddle, hasn't it?
No, he's only just jumped in. You
Okay.
saw in the background there, 2 Seb Flocks come in. Brandon Gotch has come in too. Brandon Levin has just come in as well. He did 14 laps on his stints. That's probably a guide for us as well. 14 being the most that I've seen anyone do since they came in for a pit stop at all. So that might be where we're looking. Maybe another 6 laps, which puts us to about 9 minutes to go in the race. So maybe our maths that we were working on right at the start of the night is about right.
Noticed into turn 10 where it's most noticeable. Capel not lifting as much as Connell and Yeaman seem to be doing. Woodward up at sort of 6, 7.
Kang just gave up a position there too out of turn 10. Ran it very, very wide. Tyson Broads decided to bite the bullet and come in. So remember, he was in that top 10, in the top 5 at one point, but it's dropped backwards. See what he can do. Started this race in 5th. Got nothing to lose, I guess, from trying it from where he was.
Watching the leaders again, the LEDs on the car becoming more visible for Connell. It's got the one that enables. I think that's in the setup, so on a fixed setup you don't actually get to choose what colour or positioning your LEDs are in the Mercedes. Capel not quite so close, but then it's about from here you try to work out. Definitely Connell rolling it in a little bit.
Connell's the most aggressive on the fuel save into that point, you would suspect, which doesn't surprise anyone in this race at all, considering he has been the best at fuel saving in this series by a relatively big margin. The only one that I can think that would be as equal would be Ross Rizzo. Of course, is unfortunately out of the race. Onslow in, Matthew Johnson in. They've come in after only 10 and 11 laps, so surprised to see them in now, but then they may also be covering off Tyson Broad.
Yeah, not sure if there was any who maybe tried to short fill a little either. Not any massive outliers in terms of the fill times out there. Capel's had a little bit of a moment and gone wide of the apex at 7. So he's no longer quite as close as he was to Yeaman and Connell, who are bearing down on a little bit of Orty traffic. Dylan O'Shea's catching everyone.
Yeah,
well.
I was about to say that. And the other part too, I was wondering, is without the rear gunner there, sitting there of Lachlan Capel, is a nice move from Brad Watson to get the move done. Without Capel being as close to Connell, does that give Connell a little bit more freedom to potentially try a move before the pit stops? Oh no.
Close right back up again.
Matthew Johnson's received a black flag speeding on pit exit. After what was looking like a solid P10 or a top 10 finish, now well and truly out of it. It's Court, Faulkner, Kang and Webster are all in the pits.
Webster had a sick little drift on his way in. I hope he slowed it down in time as well.
Looks like he has. Can't see anything on the timing, so he might be okay. Comes Jeff Connell. No, that's out of it. The gap on the timing sheet just closed up astronomically. Jeff Connell really wants to go through, but in the same breath, knows that it's not the smart strategy call to go through and burn a bit of extra fuel at the lead.
Absolutely expect stops at the end of this lap from these guys, especially Brad Watson and Aaron Cooper, who've just dropped off a tiny bit as this group made their way through the traffic. I reckon watch for Watson and Cooper. These three not going to pit. But Watson and Cooper will.
Good prediction.
Yeah, I looked really, really deep into my fuel economy crystal ball for that one.
Very well. Little battle going on here between Hayden Veld and Timothy Audie. Both come into the pits. So Hayden Veld and Ben Jeffrey are really out of sequence in the AM class, but Veld could leapfrog everyone and potentially steal the AM lead away. Jeffrey Wang is now the effective leader once more. Because here comes... No, Jeff Connell was thinking about it once more. Backs out of it. But Lachlan Capel has closed that gap back down. This is on, but Hayden Veld now may jump Jeffrey Wang for the lead in AM.
Definitely possible. Late stop from Veld. Oh, it's going to be close, but driver on track has got it. There's
Veld's definitely got
between
pace.
them. And there's still laps.
Yep.
Isn't there? No doubt. This is the point of the race where it then starts to weigh a little more on which model and which driver is better on their tyres, because they've been racing for 30 minutes. It will be 40 by the end. If you've been very aggressive on them early, you might start to feel it by the end more than you would in the 25 or 10-minute races we've seen already. So everyone now through pit lane, but hopefully the final time. Has the fuel save from Connell paid off? How quick is his final stop going to be compared to Yeaman and Capel, compared to O'Shea in the lane with him there?
Brad Watson, the leader of those that have pitted. Lachlan Capel looks like he's going to come out in front.
Yeah, Capel and Yeaman going to jump to the front here, ahead of Connell and O'Shea. Here comes Brad Watson, who pitted a lap before.
Aaron Cooper, slow pit stop from him, so he's dropped out of this battle. So we've got 5 cars fighting for the lead, and Lachlan Capel with Dan Yeaman along behind. Drop Bear Motorsport 1-2.
Yeah, no doubt for the moment. The gang back together though. 5 cars for the lead here. Traffic's going to start coming a little thicker and a little faster towards the end of this one though.
The battle for the lead in AM is on between Wang and Cirillo, and you can see Hayden Veld is not that far behind. There he is, just in the back of shot.
Moment over that turn 5 curb. Famous turn 5 curb there for the AM leader Wang.
If these two fight too much too soon, Hayden Veld will be there. Glenn Cedar Riddell will be there too. So we're going to have a 4-car fight for the win in AM. 5 cars battling for the win in Pro.
Great way to kick off a new season of simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. My maths says 7 more laps, and it's getting dark out there. It gets pretty dark around this place. And already you struggle with picking out the apex here at turn 3. The TV camera makes it look so easy. You can't see that curb until you're on it. Who's there? Out the way.
Lordy. He's out of the way.
Okay.
He's escaped back to the pits. Decides to park it for a little bit. One thing I've noticed tonight that I didn't notice last season is drivers using their fast repair at each and every pit stop as well. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I have, yeah.
I can see that in our top 10, 4 of the drivers have used both fast repairs, and 9 of the 10 have used one. There's only one driver that hasn't used one.
Connell?
No, Connell's used one. Cooper's used one. Funslow's used one. Court has used one. Broad has used one. Watson has used 2.
So on here, Dylan O'Shea's trying to get third, and he will get down the inside
Nice
of Jeff
move.
Connell. Connell tried to fight him off. There was sort of a counter move going on down the back straight there. In the end, Dylan O'Shea was very, very determined that he was going to get through.
Not done. So the only driver that hasn't used one is Dan Yeaman. So that's sitting in the comms box as opposed to sitting out on track. Doesn't know all the tricks that these guys have got.
Nah, just typical cheap team owners.
Doesn't want to pay for the extra car. Remember how I said that if these guys fight, we're going to end up in the 4-car battle? Well, it's happened already. 4 cars to fight for the win in Pro, 4 cars to fight for the win in AM.
I think I just saw Sebastian Flock try to go 3 wide underneath the bridge as well. He's trying to fight back through this. fight back through a bunch of AM drivers here with Greg Buchanan in front of him and Stephen Tonkin right behind him there in that Porsche. I bet your Flock's used up a couple fast repairs.
I bet you he's still got one left.
Okay.
But yeah, I was thinking he would have used a couple, but no, he's only used one. Out of our 44 drivers, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers that have not used a fast repair in this race. It's a strategic thing though for a lot of drivers. It's just getting rid of that tiny minor damage that you get in the floor or in the front splitter from just cutting a curb a little bit too much. It allows you to just be that extra little bit aggressive knowing that you can do that in your pit stop.
Fastest lap of the race just then for Lachlan Capel. If you've been watching him, he's using every single inch of the road. Out of turn 10, you're like, oh, has he run wide? No, he's just measured out every inch you can use of that exit curb to flow the speed through. The same through the S's there as he gets plenty of the curb at the apex, plenty of the curb on the exit. He's almost dropping Dan Yeaman here, and he could be on for another one. The fuel clearly looks good for Lachlan Capel, and he is not in any kind of conserve mode. Someone's coming for the pit entry. Dale Carpenter for the third time. He had to stop at the end of lap 1 because of damage, so pitting then has forced him into a 3-stop. I posit the same will be likely for Marcus Watson in 9th then. This AM battle though,
Being very heated, isn't it? Between Wang and Cirillo, who are nose to tail. Veld, who took a second and a half out of these guys in the last lap and a half. And Seta Riddell, who's just sat there watching, waiting, as here comes O'Shea side by side with Yeaman for P2. Jeff Connell's in there as well, and Lachlan Capel will be thinking, keep fighting, boys. I'll just drive away. Oh,
furious and fierce stuff. O'Shea's not quite clear. He's going to go all the way clean around the outside, a millimetre from disaster and contact there. One of the fastest, most committed corners in American motorsport. Escaping. And Connell, I mean, he's been watching and waiting and biding his time here while these other guys have just gone full attack, full beans, haven't they? Capel and O'Shea have lit the fuses in this final stint.
I'm surprised that Connell's last pit stop was as long as it was. I thought he might have been able to maybe gain 3/4 of a second, a full second, with less fuel intake in that last stop, but he hasn't been able to make as big an impact as I would have thought. In saying that, looking at fuel, I am a tiny little bit concerned about Brad Watson's fuel. Now, he pitted a lap earlier than these guys in front, but his last pit stop time was almost identical, slightly longer, around about the same time as Dan Yeaman. So I'm thinking he is in a little bit of trouble with fuel potentially. Remember, Aaron Cooper came in at the same time. He took an extra 3 seconds of fuel. Brad Watson may be a lap short.
Cooper into one of those Porsches that seem to be very, very economical as well. So, yeah, we wait and see. There will be drama all the way to the final sector of the final lap in this one, no doubt. AM class leads. Cirillo tries to outbrake around the outside. Wang just has him covered. As they do that, drawn into the picture, ever closer comes Hayden Veld in the Porsche. Glenn Cito Riddle in the BMW.
Sam Lehman's not far away as well. I was
going to say, to cover your top 5 in AM class is less than to cover your top 5 in the Pro overall division.
Incredibly close, and I mean, you take Lachlan Capel's 2.5 second lead out of it. They're all as close as each other. That's believed Dale Carpenter running off the circuit at the exit of turn 7. Will we see any moves in this lead group down into 10? I don't know if we will. It's probably a little bit too far back for Connell. Yeaman won't make the move unless he's 100% sure he can get it done. So no moves there yet. It's going to happen in the AM. I think there's going to be a move in this class.
Oh, absolutely. Anything can happen here, and it's closer and closer and closer than ever. Veld looks next to try to take a bite out of the apple. Cirillo's trying to cover him off, runs middle of the road until he feels he's safe, which is not yet. He breaks in super deep.
It was nearly too deep there. He just pulled it up very, very well.
It's fair to worry. Yeaman really quick through the pit lane, but now coming under a little bit more attack and a little bit more pressure. Connell's sniffing around. Watson right with them. Despite your questions about the fuel.
I know now at this point there'll be 1 lap to go when they cross the line, so they're probably all going, yes, I'm 100% okay. You always still feel that little bit nervous until you know 100% it's the last lap of the race.
See the white flag.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want it to be one of those ones where there's a... Oh, jeez. Connell.
Secret sneaky extra lap. Yeah, Connell really, really looking for a narrow gap to get down the inside of Yeaman there, and doesn't quite work. Cost them both a bit of time to Dylan O'Shea, and doesn't let Brad Watson stay in close. There is the white flag. Lachlan Capel, race leader, first to get it, and then Dylan O'Shea, and then for whatever here. Yeaman, Connell now under attack from Watson, moving around on the pit straight. Big wiggle before turning in to turn number 1. Final tour of Road Atlanta, and it's all on for who could have a podium here in the Pro Division. It's definitely all going to be on in the AM Division because, well, Jeffrey Wang's getting away. Gustavo Cirillo trying to fend off Hayden Veld, won't quite be able to do it. Riddle buys into it as well.
Beautiful.
Pushes him off the road.
Lehman's coming too. He's not far off.
It's the last lap. Time's going to expire.
In contact between Watson and Connell too.
Down to the left there for Connell, isn't there?
Yep, definitely some witness marks. So something's
damage to the front right.
Yep.
For Watson. Those two Lego pieces fit together pretty easily. That one's ages 2 to 5. Lachlan Capel leads the way though. Really dropped the hammer after the final pit stop. In fact, he was quick through the pit lane to grab that lead. Final stop as well, and he's going to lead the championship after round 1 of season 8. AusPass.
Oh, it's a bomb!
It's going to help him to the line. Jeff Connell just says, there you go, Brad Watson. And battles behind him have been very, very kind to Jeffrey Wang. And I want to see those battles behind him because Hayden Veld's got to defend. Cirillo has been so good on the brakes here as well. Riddle's trying to get a piece, won't get the drive off. Cirillo will. Can Cirillo go around the outside of the final corner? I reckon he can.
Oh, great race.
Whoa. Lehman arriving on the scene. We're wishing for just one more lap, I'm sure. Does that look like Buchanan coasting?
Yeah, Buchanan just had to get out of the throttle there, but what a good job from Lachlan Capel, Dylan O'Shea, Dan Yeaman. They all put on a fantastic show in that one.
Yeah, very exciting. Absolute firecracker of a final stint in that one as well. You smelt them building up to something, you know, batting their way to a final session of the day and then smacking it around the park when it mattered. Absolute dominance when you look at the fastest lap from Lachlan Capel as well. So close through qualifying and through the race, and he finds a little bit of speed the others didn't have right at the end for that win. Ahead of O'Shea, Yeaman, Watson, Cooper, Funslow, Court, Watson, Tyson Broad, and Chu Kang. So, yeah, that's not the earlier stop. Still might have paid off a little for Chu Kang, and the biggest mover inside of the top 10, Tyson Broad. My goodness, he came from 27th on the grid for that 9th place. Flew under the radar a little bit as well.
Definitely did. Daniel Webster in 11th. Have a look at that group of AM drivers together. 12th through 16th overall, but 1st through 5th in class. Wang by about 1.7 seconds in the end. Then you've got nothing between Veld, Cirillo, Riddell, and Lehman. Jeff Connell finishes in 17th in the end.
I reckon incident limit.
Incident limit. I'm just looking. Yes, he exceeded the incident limit at the end of the race. So back to 17th instead of getting a 5th place finish. Timothy Audie, Sebastian Flock, good recovery from him, and Stephen Tonkin in 20th. Overall, 6th in class.
Story of a couple of these races. Drivers crossing finish line carrying the black flags, or whatever it may be. down. Jai Potts, Brady Buchanan, Ben Jeffrey, got Richard Brookfield, Matthew Johnson, Christopher Hen in there, and Adam Jepson, Tim Harris. Oh, he
Stop and hold. Hurt him, didn't it?
absolutely pain in both races after a strong qualifying in the BMW. Brandon Grosh and Dean O'Brien for 30th. Deep field keeps going. Jordan Ferguson in 31st, still on the lead lap. Tom Wilkinson, Kurt Woodward, Ben Faulkner, Tony Baker, and Dale Carpenter just off it. And a rough one for Phil Audie, Brandon Levin, Derek Audie, Graham Smith, and also Luke Fitt, Liam Caplice, Joshua Fitt, Ross Rizzo. Big names, big outs there with Caplice and Rizzo.
Yeah, disappointing night end for those guys. But overall, though, fantastic night of racing, and been absolutely great to have AusPass back for Season 8.
Yeah, what a grid they've put together for this season as well. It was good racing in Pass 2, and then you look at the car count as they came to start these races, and it looks strong. It certainly does. Good mix of the cars as well. I reckon there'll be a kilo or two extra on that Porsche come round 2. Let's see. Chat with our one of our race winners from the Oz Pro Am Sim Series. Let's grab Lachlan Capel. Well, tell us then, 2-stop race, really close pack up front. What are you working, what are you managing, and what's your strategy there?
Well, for the 2-stop, I was having a look at the fuel, and fuel was a little bit tight, I thought, but with the added fuel, well, with the increased fuel limit for the cars in race 2, kind of helps out with the fuel. So it was kind of just save as much as you can behind people. I mean, first stop you just put as much as you could in the car, and then second stop would kind of be try and save as much as you can while behind people. And I mean, for my race, after going off the middle of race 2, after having a little bit of a moment at turn 1, I could have saved a little bit more fuel and gone 16 litres, but I ended up putting 17 in the car. But yeah, that seemed to work out really well. I was able to jump both Dan and Jeff in the pit stops. So you're constantly trying to juggle your pace difference and the gap to other cars to make sure no one can do a cheeky little dive bomb at turn 10. And as well as that, trying to just get as much out of the fuel tank as possible.
And back in the Porsche, looked really strong on pace, especially when it was light on fuel, but a bit of a handful through turn 1 at points in some hands.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've driven this car ever since it came out back in January, and last season I had to swap out because the car was just not competitive, but this season it was competitive, and I guess you could say that too, because all 3 Porsches, O'Shea, Ross, Rizzo, and I all lost it at T1 some point throughout the 3 races. And the Porsche wasn't actually a handful through the turn 1, it was more the Audis and Lambos with the mid-engine, their extreme mid-engine turn that caused the car to rotate too much. But I guess just us Porsche drivers just getting a little bit too greedy on the entry and trying to get as much speed as possible. Quite a few times just trying to keep up caused the car to just get a little bit unstable a couple of times.
You're feeling when you finish the fueling of that final stop and jump everyone for the lead.
I was pretty happy because, I mean, I made that mistake a little bit at the start of the second stint where I lost 4 or 5 seconds, and it was a bit annoying because there were a couple of cars in front of me that just didn't have that pace. So I was able to I had quite a bit of pace that I thought I didn't have at the start of the thing. So I just started pushing, and then yeah, coming out I was quite happy the fact that I was actually out ahead of both of them. It just meant I could push, and Dan could help me as a teammate and try and defend off the people at the back, so I could just extend my lead at the front.
Leading the championship, beating Dan Yeaman. Good start to the season for you.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good welcome for me because in the past 2-3 seasons I've always had a terrible round 1 and a terrible round 2. So good to see it could kick off nice and well at the start, and hopefully we can see this continue for the rest of the season.
Who you want to thank?
Just like to thank Drop Bear Motorsport and all their sponsors of Encozy Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Solutions, and Revolution Race Gear. I'd also like to thank my dad. I didn't have any internet from 10 a.m. this morning, so him getting through his work and trying to get home and help me out, only for my internet to get back online half an hour before the race started, was really helpful, as well as Dan and Tom and all the guys in Bo's Discord with the help and just the kind of relaxed vibes for tonight's race.
There's no one else from Bo's Discord you want to thank?
What about
fair
me?
enough. Understandable.
What about me?
No,
We'll catch you around in 2 weeks'
I've got
time
to
for
thank
round
both
2.
of you. I got to thank both of you as well. I love your work with SimSpeed, both David and Jack.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Suck up, let's get him out of here. Lachlan Capel, great round from him. Second in the sprint race, saw him start 9th with the inverted grid for race number 2, and he came through for the win. And one of the men he was talking about is also going to join us. Dan Yeaman, overall, not bad for you.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, David. Getting back in a GT3 car competitively for the first time in a while. And, well, yeah, hope to put on a good job. And, yeah, race 1, little moment, which dropped me back out of the top 5 there, which is unfortunate in some respects. But, yeah, really happy to finish their P3 in the feature race tonight and able to just hang on there. Audi was definitely a handful in the opening sector as well, which made things a little bit rough there. But that's what I sort of knew what I was signing up for, picking this car. So, fingers crossed that's some of the worst out of the way there, and we can look forward to what's coming up in the next couple of weeks with the upcoming rounds and so forth.
Any particular rounds of the wild card you're looking forward to, or you think the Audi's going to suit?
It's a good question. I haven't really driven GT3 super aggressively in a bit, so we'll have to wait and see. Phillip Island is a bogey track personally, so cross that one off, and if we don't if that's not the worst round I have this season, I'm apparently having a good sort of a streak there. Probably other tough tracks might be Suzuka. Again, this car seems to really struggle with taking mid to high speed corners, but if it's also when you're trying to really ride curbs. So I think thinking of it, maybe Sandown curb usage there might be a bit interesting. And that should be about it, I think, unless the new chicane on the Indianapolis road course is a bit of a handful. That might be a one to watch out there too. Otherwise, the wildcards, probably looking at the CTSV personally and the Audi GTO. Definitely looking forward to having a run in both those cars, and fingers crossed that all goes positively there as well.
Well, congrats, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
That's the goal. Hopefully, stay up towards the front half of the field here. Made a good start, so got to now try and follow that up.
That's going to wrap us up from a very, very exciting opening round to the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series of Season 8. You'll catch us very shortly again at Phillip Island for round number 2. Again, great to be on the Australian shores for that one. Always an exciting track in these kind of cars. Big slipstream down the pit straight, high-speed corners, and then some tough braking zones at the hairpins. Make sure you're following us on SimSpeed TV, wherever you may be watching, to catch all of that action in a week's time. And of course, thanks go to simrigs.com and all the other partners of the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series: Ferguson Group Media, Chuka, Toyota, Phoenix Smokers, Australian Sim Racing, and Index Designs. We'll see you next Thursday from Phillip Island.
So you do like it? I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate. This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.